Coming up on KPBS Evening Edition, a judge weighs in on a controversial renovation project in Sherman Heights. And abortion rights activists rally to support a bill to expand abortion services in California. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. Joanne Farian is on vacation. The company in charge of the San Onofre nuclear power plant says it's closing in on figuring out what's going wrong with its steam generator tubes in the plant's reactors. Hundreds of the tubes have worn away at an unexpected rate. Officials at Southern California Edison say inspectors have completed most of the testing. Now they're developing a plan to eventually bring the reactors back online. Work will continue at a controversial site in East San Diego's Sherman Heights neighborhood. Today, a judge denied a request to stop the renovation of the nearly 100-year-old Farmers Market building. Walmart is planning a new store on the site, and part of the building was demolished last week. Some neighbors are angry about the demolition. Today, the judge ruled opponents already had a chance to weigh in before the permits were issued in 2009. A bill designed to expand access to abortion in California gets its first hearing in the state legislature tomorrow. It would greatly increase the number of providers who perform non-surgical abortions. Today, Planned Parenthood staged a rally to gather support for the measure. It was written by San Diego Senator Christine Kehoe. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg joins me now from the News Center to talk about this bill. Kenny, why does Senator Kehoe say it's needed now?
Well, Senator Kehoe and supporters of the bill say about half of all California counties don't have an abortion provider. So this bill, by expanding the number of practitioners that could perform these kind of first trimester non-surgical abortions, you would expand access to abortions to many California women who don't have that access right now.
And what do critics say about expanding these services?
Well, critics say the measure would lower the medical standards for people performing these procedures, and therefore it would put women's health at risk. That's their position.
And briefly, there was a protest outside of Senator Juan Vargas's office, right?
That's right. And the protest was staged outside of Juan Vargas's office because he's supposedly on the fence about this bill. He's against abortion, but he hasn't committed on this bill yet, so they're trying to get him to support it.
KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg. First, there was realignment. Now, California prison officials have a plan for reorganization. It would stop prison construction and bring back all inmates being held out of state. The new plan is expected to save California $1.5 billion a year. A new report says there's been a significant drop in the number of Mexican immigrants in the U.S. illegally. Researchers at the Pew Hispanic Center say there were just over 6 million unauthorized immigrants in the U.S. last year, down from a peak of nearly 7 million in 2007. The researchers say there are several reasons for the drop: a weak U.S. economy, more immigration enforcement, and violence along the border. The Pentagon has revoked security clearances of service members connected to a Secret Service sex scandal. About a dozen were staying in a Colombian hotel where Secret Service employees are accused of hiring prostitutes just before a visit by President Obama. 4 of those service members were sailors and Marines based in San Diego. The courts-martial are over in the killing of 24 Iraqi civilians. One Camp Pendleton Marine was convicted, but as KPBS reporter Allison St. John tells us, some other squad members may still have to pay a price after being cleared in the case.
There's a new twist in the Haditha story. The Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus, wants to discharge 2 Marines, Sergeant Humberto Mendoza and Sergeant Senek de la Cruz, because they lied to investigators before the military trial. Quick refresher here. Haditha was the most serious war crimes trial to come out of the Iraq War. 8 Marines went on trial for the killing of 24 unarmed Iraqi civilians. 7 of those Marines were exonerated or acquitted, and Sergeant Frank Woodrich ended up pleading guilty to 1 count of negligent dereliction of duty. Neil Puckett is the attorney who defended Woodrich. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
So I think the public feels that perhaps justice wasn't done after the Haditha case. And I wondered whether you think that this latest move by Ray Mabus is another indication that the military court didn't really deliver justice.
I'm not sure how close a connection there is between justice for the victims at Haditha and this latest action can be seen. I think it's probably more of a visceral or emotional or just sort of justice reaction by the Secretary of the Navy to perhaps have been briefed as an after-action report about the Haditha cases and to have discovered that the prosecutors relied on false testimony to build their cases. And then secondarily to that, seeing that the false testimony came from Marines who were later promoted to the non-commissioned officer status. Integrity is a very primary virtue in the Marine Corps, and they don't take lying very lightly.
Well, now, there was dispute over the details of what happened that day, several different details. One of the lies that De La Cruz told the investigators was that the 6 men by the white pickup were actually running away when they were shot. Then on the stand, he said they were not. Do you believe there were more lies told by witnesses that haven't yet been admitted?
Well, we know for a fact there are. In fact, at least half the witnesses who testified we know lied because we've conducted our own more thorough investigation than that of NCIS. But the thing that's perhaps most disturbing is that these two individuals, these two sergeants, not only lied at the court-martial, but they had also lied in 2007 at the Article 32 investigation. That was, and both admitted lying. And then to find out that back in 2006, the Naval Criminal Investigative Service agents told the prosecutors that these individuals, particularly Sergeant De La Cruz, was lying to them about his version of events, yet they chose to proceed with the false or perjured testimony anyway. And that raises ethical concerns for we as attorneys.
Well, right, it looked like the prosecution had adopted a strategy to pin all the blame on your client, on Woodridge. And I was on Camp Pendleton when those final hearings were, and he came across as a fairly responsible and thoughtful individual who was doing what he thought was best at the time. So do you think that this strategy they adopted was to get as many people off the hook as possible?
Well, no, I think it was just the opposite. I think the strategy was to try to portray what happened as the actions or directed actions of a single rogue individual who they decided was going to be Sergeant Woodridge. And they tried then to shape all the evidence back to a theory that Sergeant Woodridge had reacted emotionally and had gone berserk and had commanded his troops to go berserk as well. And in so doing, in that way, could distance the Marine Corps from any responsibility as an organization or any institutional responsibility for failures in leadership or failures in training and supervision or tactics that were being trained to at the time, and certainly as it goes to rules of engagement which were in force at the time.
So just quickly, if these 2 other Marines are discharged from the Marine Corps, how can the general public feel satisfied that justice was done when they escaped any court sentence?
Well, I don't think they can feel that justice was done because they had their charges either charges weren't preferred against them in the case of Sergeant Mendoza, or they had their charges dismissed with prejudice, meaning they could never be refiled in the case of Sergeant De La Cruz. I think had all Marines who fired their weapons that day been charged and held to account for their own actions individually, perhaps, and just perhaps, justice might have been found in some way, shape, or form through the investigation of the Haditha incident.
Okay, Neil Puckett, thank you very much for being with us.
Great to be with you.
That was Neil Puckett, the attorney for Frank Woodridge.
For the past 25 years, the Alpha Project has been helping homeless and formerly incarcerated people in San Diego turn their lives around. Over the next few nights, we'll show you how this organization is saving taxpayers' money while making productive citizens out of people we often give up on. Most of these men would probably be in prison or homeless if it were not for the Alpha Project's Take Back the Streets program. It's been making a difference in San Diego for more than 20 years.
It's fun, make me sweat, exercise, helping out the community. You know what I mean? Look at all this area. It's all messed up, so I feel good doing something good for everybody, you know?
Carlos Pee Wee Juarez didn't always think that way. His life used to be messed up too, going in and out of prison following in the footsteps of his family, all gang members in the Skyline area. But Juarez finally broke the cycle. He's been sober and out of prison since 2000.
Alpha Project, they blessed me with a job. They took me off, I was almost going to be homeless because I was selling drugs before I met Bob, and I was really doing bad. I'm on my way back to jail.
Take Back the Streets has been providing transitional jobs and training like this brush clearing near Barrio Logan since 1987 in San Diego County. Juarez likes to produce rap songs and often talks to school kids about the mistakes he wishes he didn't make growing up.
I have to be a good role model for them to look up to me, for me to talk about what I'm doing now, and I have to lead by example.
Each crew member behind me is paid about $10 an hour to clear brush and weeds, even provide graffiti removal, while some other crews provide security at various venues.
I've been out of prison for the last 2 years and 9 months now.
High school football fans may remember 38-year-old Kevin Mitchell from his days at Lincoln High School.
And that was the only thing that kind of kept me from the streets at times, you know what I mean?
Once a highly recruited star linebacker with letters of interest from colleges across the nation, he chose the gang life over football and has the scars to prove it. Shot 4 different times with 9 bullet wounds and major stomach surgery twice. Mitchell is now working security downtown at the only daycare facility for homeless people in the city.
Alpha Project has gave me a chance to just look out at a better outlook in life, man. It gives me an opportunity to say, hey, somebody cares. Not everybody thinks the way of a criminal who can't work or a guy who's, a convicted felon.
Mitchell says his light bulb moment came when he saw a guy he used to compete against playing for the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. Tomorrow, we'll show you how the Alpha Project's drug treatment program is changing lives in an area once known as Tweaker Hill in the North County. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
Tonight on KPBS. At 8, Antiques Roadshow in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Coca-Cola Archives to explore the mystery surrounding the disappearance of 3 Norman Rockwell paintings. Then at 9 on the Roadshow from Providence, Rhode Island, sink your teeth into the world of vintage kitchen collectibles. And at 10, by Air, Road, and Rail, venture behind the scenes with the workers who get us where we need to go. Nation on the Move, on America Revealed. That's tonight on KPBS.
Hi, I'm Yul Kwan from the new PBS series, America Revealed. Make Wednesdays your destination for exploration. First, on nature, encounter the radioactive wolves of Chernobyl. Next, Nova unlocks the secrets of our nearest star, the sun. Then, join me for America Revealed and see how we produce and deliver energy to a switched-on nation. This Wednesday, PBS is your destination for exploration.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Erwin Jacobs and by
The majority of women stricken with breast cancer are usually over the age of 50, but Nikita Garcia was diagnosed when she was 22. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg has her story.
5 days a week at Moore's UC San Diego Cancer Center, dozens of patients come in for chemotherapy.
If we're lucky, that's the last needle stick for the day.
They sit for hours at a time to be poked and prodded and to get the potentially life-saving drugs into their bodies. Most of them are decades older than Nikita Garcia.
All right, ready?
Garcia is 24 and is already in her 3rd round of chemotherapy. She's also being treated with an experimental drug. Garcia's battle started in the fall of 2010. One day, she found a lump in her left breast.
I knew it wasn't there before because I had been breastfeeding when my daughter was younger, and so I was always worried about clogged milk glands. So I was very vigilant, and so I knew nothing was there a couple months before, and all of a sudden there was this lump.
Her doctor didn't think the lump was serious, but Garcia wanted to make sure, so she had it removed. Garcia remembers when the surgeon called to say it was a cancerous tumor.
I was at work and I just made it to the restroom to go cry because it wasn't anything that I expected. And just at my age, you don't think about something like that. And the only person I've ever known with cancer was an older cousin who passed away. So of course that's the first thing that popped into my mind was like, how bad is this and how am I going to survive this?
Garcia's husband is a sergeant in the Marine Corps and was stationed in Yuma, Arizona at the time. That's where Garcia had a second surgery to make sure the tumor was gone from her breast. That's how she spent her 23rd birthday.
And so I started chemo right away without any time to look into it, any repercussions of what would come later, like infertility, or obviously I thought I'd lose my hair and I did. So a year ago I was bald.
After her first round of chemo, Garcia had an MRI to see if the cancer had spread. Garcia read the report before she saw her oncologist.
So then when I went in and had my appointment with him, he said, oh, and now it's in the other breast. And I was like, no, it's not. It's in the same place as it was before. Didn't you read the report? And so then he flips through the page and he's like, oh, yeah, it is on the left side. So ever since then, I was like, I got to get away from this doctor.
Luckily, her husband got transferred to San Diego last fall. That's when Garcia started seeing doctors at Moore's Cancer Center. Her oncologist, Teresa Helston, says Garcia is the youngest woman she's ever treated with active breast cancer.
Her cancer is responding very well to the treatment, and so that's always very encouraging. On top of that, besides seeing response of the cancer to treatment, we really like to see that the treatment is also not causing very many side effects, not too toxic, and she's sailing through with hardly any noticeable side effects. So that's like the best of both worlds.
Still, Garcia had to have a double mastectomy. After that, cancer was found in her left lung. Nikita Garcia's breast cancer is classified as triple negative. That's the most aggressive type. Through all of her surgeries and many rounds of chemotherapy, Nikita has tried to maintain a normal family life.
Is that how you go swimming? Yeah. Oh, okay. You're a good swimmer. Baby.
2-year-old Elena is Garcia's pride and joy. When Garcia's not in treatment, she spends time with her daughter and her husband, Anthony.
We still, go to movies, go on dates and stuff. Our parents come out, help out with our daughter. But as far as doing things that we should be doing, I don't really know what normal people do.
Doctors say Garcia's cancer treatments will continue for some time, and she'll need to undergo reconstructive surgery in the near future. But for now, Garcia's not letting cancer ruin her life. She recently went skydiving for the first time.
Even if you're dealt a bad hand or something goes wrong in your life, you just have to kind of look past it and you just deal with it and then you keep going.
That's KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg. Doctors say breast cancer is almost unheard of in women under the age of 25. There are more options today for kids to participate in sports, and it's causing some strain between those involved in club sports and high school sports. Haditha Sharma recently spoke with an official with the California Interscholastic Federation, the organization that oversees school sports.
Remember the days when qualifying for a varsity sport in high school was an honor? Well, club sports have taken some of the shine off of high school athletics, so much so that some of the region's star athletes are being lured away from their neighborhood high school sports teams. Joining me is John Labita, Assistant CIF Commissioner for San Diego. John, what are club sports? What sports are involved? And what is the key difference between club sports and high school teams?
Okay. Basically, just about every sport that's played right now at the high school level has a club program. It can involve very detailed clubs, which are high-emphasis clubs that are like soccer. Lacrosse is also emerging as a club program, where the difference is that those programs play in the summertime. They don't play during the school year. They practice after the high school season is over, and then they go and compete nationwide. So they are taking their student athletes and they're traveling to different areas to compete against other club programs. And the exposure that is given to those athletes by college coaches that can't see them during the high school season because they're also coaching at the same time. So the big difference for them is the exposure that they get, the competitive level because they're competing against the highest level of competition, and then really the travel.
Is CIF worried at all about the surge in club sports?
Well, I think we are. I think we're worried that we've lost some of the 2- and 3-sport athletes because athletes are starting to specialize before they get to high school. So at junior high school, they've already picked out the fact that they're going to be a lacrosse player or that they're going to be a volleyball player. If you look at most of the highly competitive volleyball programs in San Diego County, those young ladies have started playing from the time they were in 6th grade till now they hit high school. You don't find very few athletes that come in anymore that have never played the sport and make the team because they're just purely athletic.
And what's it like for a teenage athlete to be a part of club sports?
Well, I think it's a great atmosphere. I mean, but you have to be one of those overachieving student athletes. You know, you're not just going to be the average athlete and make a club program. I think they have camaraderie, much like high schools do. Mm-hmm. I think the big difference is that they're paying to play. And you hear that term in high schools also, especially with the budgets.
And how much are they paying?
Well, it can be as much as $2,800. It can be as much as $3,200 per month. That doesn't include the travel that the parents are actually footing the bill for. So that's just to be a member of the club. And then they have to pay for the meals and the travel expenditures of the air flights and wherever the team's going to actually travel.
And what is the draw? What is the goal of the kids and the parents?
Well, I think it's to ultimately get a college scholarship. And I think that you've probably heard many studies that say if you took the same amount that you put into the club program, put it away for the 10 years that student is in middle school and high school, you would probably end up paying for their college education or be close to it. But the draw is that I'm going to end up being a D1 athlete. Not everyone becomes a D1 athlete.
So is that a realistic goal?
Well, I think the percentages are not there. If you look at purely the percentages, it's 1%, 1 to 5% of athletes go on and play at the D1 level. What you find with Southern California athletes is they want to go to the USC, they want to go to UCLA, they want to go to Stanford. They may not be that blue chipper. They may be able to go to the Midwest, to the back east, and get some financial aid or get some athletic packages for them. But a lot of those athletes won't go. And so I guess the decision, if you're going to play in a club program, are you willing to go away from sunny Southern California and play in a college in the Midwest or back east?
Very quickly, how has this changed how high school parents interact with high school coaches?
I think they're a little bit more demanding, and they want their son or daughter to play a key position like they do in their club program. It's not what's better for the team and for the program, it's what's best for me. And in most high school programs, you're going to see that they're saying we are team. There's no me in team, and unfortunately some of the club programs bring that with them. So it's like this is where I play for my club program. This is where my club coach says I should play, and this is where I want to play. Not what can I do to help the team.
Okay, Barry, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank you.
Springtime often means an increase in rescues on San Diego beaches, but it's not people who are getting saved. That story is coming up next. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
I'm Jeffrey Brown. On the next News Hour, how do social conservatives view Mitt Romney now? That's Monday on the PBS News Hour.
It's his idea. I'm just, My hostage! Hostage, yes, that works.
Don't do that. The look. You're doing the look again.
I like detectives. Brainy's the new sexy.
He wants to destroy me inch by inch.
Can't you see what's going on?
Having fun?
I would have missed this for the world.
the new season of Sherlock on Masterpiece. Premiere Sunday, May 6th at 9, only on PBS.
The American people have named PBS the most trusted source of news and public affairs for the 8th year in a row. Trust. The American people have spoken. Thank you.
It's springtime and pupping season for San Diego's seal population, and for pregnant seals, it sometimes means giving their older offspring the boot. KPBS video journalist Katie Ufrat takes us to Moonlight Beach in Encinitas, where lifeguards rescued a dehydrated young elephant seal Sunday.
This is a yearling California sea elephant. If it's a male, he's going to grow to approximately 1.5 tons in weight, about as big as this vehicle here. We've captured 2 yearlings this last week, and those also went to SeaWorld. They're young, they've just been weaned from their parent, and their hunting skills perhaps aren't up, or there just isn't enough food for them to predate on. So they're coming up on the beaches, and they're happening all over. Talking to SeaWorld, they've been up in Carlsbad, Oceanside, Camp Pendleton.
We have picked up 13 in 2012. We'll take it back to SeaWorld, and we'll give it lots of fluids. We'll have the veterinarian look at it. The goal is rehab for rehabilitation for release to the sea for a second chance at life.
I've seen worse. I've seen where the bones are showing in the back and so forth. So this little guy is probably going to do pretty well.
Look, Jimmy's got the good spot.
You're advised to tell lifeguards immediately if you come across an injured animal, but never approach a seal because their powerful jaws are built for crushing, and, of course, interfering with marine life is against the law. Tonight on our public square, a follow-up to a recent story questioning the effectiveness of curfew sweeps in City Heights. That original report from Voice of San Diego said there's never been any analysis of whether the sweeps stop crime. Now, Voice of San Diego says police are starting to compile data from the sweeps. It will focus on how many of the teens complete a crime diversion class, but still won't look at the program's overall effectiveness. You can have your say on the matter by following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, or sending us an email. Planned Parenthood staged a rally today to support a bill to expand abortion services in California. It will allow nurse practitioners, certified midwives, and physician assistants to perform non-surgical abortions using a method only doctors can use right now. And a judge says renovation of the farmers market in Sherman Heights can continue. Some neighbors got angry after part of the building was demolished last week. Walmart plans to build a new store on the site. You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.